Welcome to this Heal Hangout. I'm so happy to be back. I'm doing these regularly. You'll have seen I've been doing them for the last few weeks again. I'm always so delighted to bring some nice topics around wellness, health, and frequency to these sessions where we can all learn about how we can improve our health so that we can all thrive in our aligned purpose. And I'm bringing you some great people to share their knowledge on how you can improve your health for you for the best way, and also for people around you. I feel like right now, what's happening in the universe and the earth is that a lot of people are struggling. Like more and more people are coming into my environment who are having immune health disorders. A lot of people who are in pain and struggling with all sorts of different illnesses. And so I really feel it's part of my calling to be here and to all find alternative ways for healing. And as some of you know, I started off here with the Healy and frequency. And the guest I have today, Steven Keller, is someone that I actually learned from all those years ago about all these alternative tools. And he keeps popping into my field. And I'm really, really happy to welcome him here to the Heal Hangout for the first time. So welcome, Steven.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, good to have you here. So I wanted to interview you today for a number of reasons. Firstly, because you have got so much knowledge and you're really, really integrated into this world of health. And so I just wanted to ask you, do you want to give everyone a little bit of information or background about you? I know that you have been... your title is the Emotion Reset Coach. So maybe you could give us a bit of information
on
your background.
I'll give you kind of the brief, broad picture. Really briefly, it first started maybe over 40 years ago when my mom got terminal cancer, or was told she was terminal and would be dead in 6 months if she didn't do exactly what the doctor told her to, one of those things. And she didn't do anything the doctor told her to. Really got very serious about nutrition, very serious about building her faith, and had a supernatural experience. And she's like 89 and super healthy.
Wow.
And so that kind of started our whole family off on like, maybe it's not such a bad idea to think outside the box, do things differently than everybody else, right? And so for almost 30 years, I've been very into holistic health, selling different products, mostly through network marketing, because I found a lot of very unique technology to come through that industry. About 10 or 15 years ago, I learned how to do muscle testing, and mostly to use it to customize nutritional protocols for supplements. Then I learned how to use muscle testing to track down key emotional issues and reset them. And I've been doing that for 10 or 15 years. I kind of developed a unique approach, and maybe half of my clients were actually practitioners themselves. And so I do mentor practitioners on kind of that woo-woo holistic energy healing thing a bit. How we came here is actually very interesting. I was doing almost exclusively coaching for income right when the pandemic hit. And, when COVID first hit, my coaching schedule flatlined. And like for 2 weeks, I freaked, because there's a energy and frequency around you. And if you don't pay attention, you can shift over and come in agreement with it. And about 2 weeks later, I caught myself. I'm like, screw this. I am not participating. And because one thing I knew is whenever things change, when things change, there's always opportunity. Even if things are moving and going bad, in the move, there's an opportunity if you'll look for it. And so I kind of took a deep breath, did some walks, realigned myself, and my coaching business took back off. And all of a sudden, someone told me about this old German microcurrent device, the Healy. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure my sphere of influence will be very into this. Long story short, in 2020, I sold more Healys personally than anyone in the world. And, surprise December, they're like, congratulations, you've won the Porsche. I'm like, what? It was kind of crazy. I will tell you this, amazing device, not simple. And even though I made a lot of money, I never presented it as a business opportunity ever, because I viewed it as too complicated. There were no simple systems. Like network marketing, when it works well, is amazing, but it needs to be simple and duplicatable and have a system to it. And it didn't, but I was fine with that. It helped a lot of people. The company itself had some issues, we'll just say that. And in July of 2021, they implemented a lot of things, new ways of doing the business that they didn't really ask any distributors about. In July, the volume of the business dropped by 90%. August also down 90%. By September, I'm like, I may need another opportunity here. So really, honestly, at first I had to spend a decent part of September forgiving some people in Germany. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever had to do that. Like, you can't really move forward unless you let go of some other stuff, right? So I'm like, okay, I forgive them again, and I forgive them again, and a little bit more, right? So when that was done, most of the time for me, when things usually randomly show up in my life, right? Maybe I attract them a bit, but never really super deliberately. And this time I'm like, I'm going to do it differently. And what I actually did is I sat down and go, okay, I want to know energetically, really specifically, what it is I need to attract / manifest that would describe the business that I want. Does that make sense? So I muscle tested it, and the word was extraordinary. And I'm like, I kind of like that. And because to me, it represented something that would make a very big impact on other people, both health and finances, because honestly, a lot of people are sick because they have issues with their finances. Let's be honest. Something that would last, something that would make a generational impact on my family. And so I took out my journal and started writing in my journal. I wrote out, I want to build something extraordinary. I can build something extraordinary. I will build something extraordinary. I am, present tense now, building something extraordinary. And I did that for 3 days. And I did some energy work around how well am I connected to that? Is it aligned? All that type of stuff. And on the third day, someone messaged me about Vifi. And the person, they make $50,000 a month from a network marketing company they don't do any work on anymore. They're decently connected to what's going on. And when he shared it with me, like, the way I would say is, I think the best solutions in your life are first spiritually perceived before they're intellectually analyzed. Like, the inward intuition, gut goes ding, 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 ding. So like, I felt that this is it. But I also have an economics degree and 30 years experience in network marketing. So I have like some lists to check mark. Does that make sense? I'm looking for this and this and this and this and this. So when I analyze it, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Jumped on board without ever having touched the product, because it looked to me like the product worked. And you kind of cross your fingers like, oh my God, I actually hope this actually works. And my friends start taking it, and lo enough, it did. And so that will be 2 years ago this month. And I think last month we did $560,000 in business all over the world.
Yeah.
With some results that freak me out to this day. Simple, least expensive product I've ever sold in my life, and the most success I've ever had seen people in a business that I've been personally involved with. So that's kind
amazing.
of the short version of the last couple of years. Well, the last 30 years maybe.
I'm sure, I followed you along the way, and I'm sure you've got you could talk about that all day, about your experience so far in business. And I'm always really inspired by people like you, because I'm a fan of MLM, and I never thought that I would be before, because Healy kind of introduced me to it. I always say, if you can sell Healy's and do Healy MLM, you can do any MLM, because it is like the most complicated thing. I mean, not only are you selling like something that you have to explain to someone because it's so new, like trying to explain frequency to someone. Is like, it's really like, you've got to, that's why I started my education, because I was like, right, I need to learn this and I need to educate people. And, and I love doing that anyway. I love teaching, but it's so much work and so much energy. And I also really am a big believer in like sharing things that I think are really beneficial. And I enjoy doing that. And so some people kind of cringe at MLM, but there are people that use MLM in a way which is, for me, not authentic. And that is the bit that I think people cringe. Like that's the bit that people cringe about. Yeah, like, oh yeah, buy this, and it's nothing to do with actually helping anyone. But I am like the opposite. I'm like, I just want to help people. And, if this is going to help me to build a business as well, and also for me to live the life I want to live, then great, you know, everyone's benefiting. And also it helps people build their business. And I mean, I've just wrote some notes because I mean, there are just a few things that you said that like kind of triggered me to think about certain things, but like the financial thing, people are struggling big time financially, like you said. And I do believe that's a huge stressor. And I have academy members that are, you know, always talking about this, that how can we, you know, build financial wealth where we can feel relaxed in our lives to be able to follow our dreams. And I'm like, wow, like
100%, yeah.
You know, like this is something that I really, one of my main values is to like really support people to find that direction in their life to be able to do that. But also like the whole COVID thing, I feel like that was like a big inspiration. And like you said, for me was even though a very difficult time, one of the best times for me to stop and to evaluate. And also I never saw my parents stop. I saw my parents stop for the first time in my life. And it was such a relief. I didn't realize how much that I worried about them, you know, always working. Yeah. But anyway, back to Vifi, because this is the thing that I really wanted to talk about today. And people here are going to be like, what's a Vifi? Because I haven't been calling it Vifi. People know it as the golden drops. Turmeric, one of the most studied supplements in the world, which I love because you don't have to explain it to anybody. Everybody knows what turmeric is. Not so many people know what curcumin is. Curcumin is the active root in turmeric, which I learned recently. Vifi is the name of the company. I was introduced by Rebecca White, who, I mean, to be honest, people come to me all the time with things they want to offer. And I'm not really interested because I know how much energy it takes. But this was just a full yes, like you said, with the muscle testing. I just knew it was right for me. I love turmeric. I love everything about it. I love the history of it, the spiritual aspects of it. And I really thought, I'll try this. So I went and I tested it on my parents. And within 3 weeks, my mum was pain-free in her knee. And I was like, okay, this is worth me trying this. I'm going to start telling people about it. And I have, and it's growing. And now more and more people are coming to me saying, oh my God, I'm pain-free. I've never felt this good in my life. And I'm like, okay, this is something that's really great. So maybe you can, I mean, nobody knows that turmeric cannot be absorbed, right? That's what I didn't know. So maybe we can talk about like why this is different.
Yeah, so actually it's bigger than that, really, because our product or our technology is not actually that turmeric extract. Our technology is a delivery system for lipid molecules in the body. So, you know, my perspective is an ethical business that makes the world better, solves problems, right? And so if we look at the problems we solve, the number one problem in the nutritional supplement industry is lack of absorption, especially of lipid molecules. And so curcumin, this extract from turmeric, and everybody's heard about turmeric. Look, you can go on to pubmed.gov and you can type in curcumin, pretty much any condition you want, and someone will have done a study on it. Type in curcumin and cancer, like 700 different references, right? But they all say, oh, by the way, it's not absorbed. I mean, it's very simple. You think your body's mostly water, you take fat, you toss in water, it's not mixing super good, okay? Mm-hmm. And that's the problem with curcumin and many different, you know, nutritional ingredients. And so I'll give you a very basic explanation of what this technology does. Number one, we use nanotechnology, and don't get scared about that from the last 3 years. This is not like putting robots in your body. Your body actually really, really loves nanotechnology. And I'll explain that to you because, you know, for example, I have to fabric swap. My wife is thinking about getting a new couch because we have pets and small children and people spilling curcumin on our couch. So, but in your body, nutrition isn't a matter of what you swallow. It's always a matter of what you absorb, always. And so, and the absorption and the benefit has to do with contact surface area, right? How much of this touches, like if this is a cell and this is the ingredient, how much of it touches, right? And if you can imagine that this is actually a 100-pound truck tire, right? So you've got 100 pounds of rubber, right? And the only part of the truck tire that touches your cell wall is that part right there. That makes sense so far? So you have huge amount of a product with very little absorption, right? So what nanotechnology does is it takes that 100 pounds of rubber and converts it into tiny little ball bearing size. Like imagine if you take that 100 pounds of rubber and you make it this thin, I cover my whole house, right? On top of that, what we do is we take these tiny little balls of curcumin and we surround it in a technology called BioMS. So what it actually is imagine this is fat, tiny little fat balls. And imagine my thumb is a structure that loves fat. Click. My pointer finger is a structure that loves water. And so I surround this fat with a structure on the outside that loves water. So then I can take it as a delivery system and put it right into your cell. So all of a sudden you're seeing 18,000% minimum more bioavailability than other curcumin products. So the absorption is like that. So that's kind of what the technology is. We can use that BioMS technology in the future when we went for other lipid ingredients and have similar stunning results. So
yeah,
that's the basic explanation. What does it do? Well, glad you asked. We solve the number one problem in people's health, which is inflammation. And inflammation is the number one cause or contributor to every disease associated with aging, right? So if you can, people go, we'll work on XYZ, this, how about this, how about that? It's like, well, how about, well, don't worry about that. Understand this is if you get rid of inflammation at a cellular level, healthy cells make healthy tissue, make healthy organs, make healthy systems, make a nice functioning physical body. And the benefit of that is, oh, I'm sleeping better. Mental clarity, huge issue lately. The amount of brain fog people have is a little scary. I really wonder how people survive in life sometimes with the amount of brain fog. So better sleep, better mental clarity, more energy, and less discomfort or pain in their body. And I don't care what fancy disease condition you have, those four things are the only things you're actually considering improving outside of a label. So
yeah.
so that's the super basics on the product. And it's, it's the least expensive product I've ever sold in my life, which solves a very significant financial issue for people so they can afford it. And it solves a business issue because it makes it much more resilient to crazy economic downturns, which, hey, we live in a very turbulent world right now. You may have some crazy stuff going on. The other problem it solves is actually, I call it activation energy. I don't know if you know this, but most people are actually surprisingly lazy to a shocking degree. And one of the huge benefits of this product is for some reason, taking a liquid in a tiny little bottle and putting in your coffee or your tea or under your tongue, for some reason, the activation energy, in other words, the effort required to do it is enough less that people are much more consistent in taking it. Like I have a cabinet over here, like a whole practically closet full of amazing supplements, many of which I should probably be taking. But you know what? Honestly, it's too much work to walk halfway across my kitchen and unscrew some bottles and swallow pills. You're like, Steve, you're lazy. I'm like, yes, I am. It's just the reality of it. So when we have a product that people consistently take, also a huge issue, So
Oh yeah, I mean that's so true.
Some of the
So
basics
true.
of what we're dealing with.
Yeah, the activation energy. I love that because I mean, this is like going back to Healy, but even just putting wristbands on, it takes about like 30 seconds. But like the amount of people that did not want to do that is insane. And I'm just like even myself to actually do that physical thing. I personally love to put the socks on. I have like the 10 socks. I much prefer to do that than put the wristbands on. It's like there is some blockage there that like
100%.
Does not go on a easy way. Maybe because we're so like so many things happening for us in life now to actually handle the amount of stimulation happening in the world that we can't do simple things like walking to the cabinet and taking a supplement, which is going to help
I have
you.
5
It's
Heelys
like
in my house. Like I can't remember the last time I put the wristbands on. Occasionally, maybe twice a month, I'll use the device.
Yeah.
And I know it works, but I'm like, it's like if God forbid the batteries in your remote control are dead for your TV, and you're not walking across the living room to turn it on. You're like, I can't watch TV anymore.
It's hilarious.
ridiculous, but
Yeah.
it's reality, and we have to work in with reality of what people actually do or won't do, you know,
So
in
true.
terms
So
of
true. I
like
mean,
you could give
yeah.
someone a dozen things if they did would fundamentally transform their entire life and health. Will they do it? Like, hey, maybe start with this. Take this little bottle, put in your coffee in the morning. Can you do that? You're like, no, I'll put it next to my stevia and I will never forget. Yes. And like a couple weeks later, you're like, oh my God, I feel amazing. But I've been going to the gym too. It's like, well, you feel better now, less brain fog, less depression. Now you're like, now we got a little momentum going. Does that make sense? It's like, okay, you have hope for what you could do. Let's maybe add a few things. So
Yeah. I mean, so I love this word, activation energy. It's so true, because the moment I started taking it, I had activation energy. And I thought, I mean, I do a lot of things. I'm one of those people that I write my kind of like my weekly task list, and I have found methods. It hasn't been easy because I'm definitely easily distracted. I found methods to like do the majority of it, like, and actually be really productive. And I mean, before I was taking this golden drops, I was doing it pretty good, not on a consistent level, but now I'm consistent. Now I'm like, okay, I'm managing my energy so much better since I've been taking the golden drops, and I feel more active in myself. And I feel like I actually have the capacity in my energy to be able to connect with more people and to talk to more people, because that takes also a lot of energy when you are connecting with communities all the time. So I definitely, I mean, and I know a lot of people here who are in the Zoom have also had great benefits from taking it too. And there are tons of testimonials, isn't there, on a group.
huge
In
amounts.
Facebook.
You can go in the group in Facebook, Disruptive Wellness. Maybe I'll put a link in the chat, but also
Yeah, I
very
can do
easy
it.
to go to www.vifiresults.com. And it's a YouTube playlist. And I'm always interviewing new people and putting the new stories on there. I interviewed a few people in Australia, 3 testimonies from my, almost 3-week trip to Australia. Like, wow. The stories are like, I'm happy to share a few briefly if you want me to, but like, when I first started out and started putting
Yes,
people on products,
please.
like, oh, people feel better. This is cool. Right. And what evolved is I was like, oh, this is a cool product. I like it. People feel better. That's important, less discomfort, whatever. When I went to Hawaii and I met a naturopathic doctor who is a Mexican who had put a lot of people on product over the years. And she started telling me stories. And I was like, excuse me? Like, I'll tell you a couple stories. One, I'm like, oh, does it work with the C word? And she's like, well, my boyfriend goes to the doctor. They cut him open to do like exploratory surgery, kind of like, how bad are we dealing with? And they just sew him back up, and they're like, better call your lawyer and your priest. Good luck, right?
Wow.
And she goes, he's back to work. He's doing fine. They go to back and have a scan every couple months. He's free. I'm like, what? She goes, oh yeah. She goes, my friend calls me one day. Her 17-year-old son had just been in an accident, traumatic brain injury, in a coma. She goes, her friend's crying. She's saying, the doctors are telling me that I've got to unplug him because will never recover or come out of the coma. She goes, what can we do? And she's like, well, put it down his feeding tube. She's like, what if they
Wow.
don't like that? She's like, who cares? Do it. And I think she's giving on to 80 drops a day, which is probably more than you need, but who cares, right? And she goes, Steve, she goes, in 6 days, he woke up. You could meet that kid now and you would never know he ever had any problems. I'm like, holy crap, that's crazy.
Wow.
So all of a sudden Rebecca White is interesting. I had sent a lot of product to Australia, but I wasn't ready to open the market because I was waiting for a leader. Does that make sense? I want somebody down there to take care of people. And when she stepped up and she goes, I think I'm ready to do it. I was like, you are the lady. In fact, she just hit double diamond. She's really huge business, but all of a sudden their business went like that. And I'm like, what's going on down there? And she told me this Justine lady, her mom, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, so when I went down there, I'm like, Justine, tell me what happened to your mom. She's like, well, Mom was in hospice with fibromyalgia and Parkinson's, had 20 out of 10 pain level. The pain was so bad that she was talking to the doctor about euthanasia ending her life. And she goes, one day, she goes, my mom said to me, I want to find something. And she goes, well, I want to fight this. And Justine goes, let's find something. And very soon after they found the drops, long story short, 6 weeks later, she's not in hospice. She's at home having gained 20 pounds, doing selfie videos on Facebook. And all her friends are like, I thought you were dying. What's going on? In fact, the first day she took it, she had 40 minutes pain-free like that. So I interviewed another woman, Diane. I had met her that day walking around, couldn't really tell there was anything wrong with her. And I'm like, Diane, I hear you have an amazing story. She goes, yeah. She goes, I'm 66. I was born without an ankle. I'm like, excuse me? She's like, what did you say? She goes, they made an ankle, but they fused it. But I had a lot of pain and a lot of problems. And when I stopped growing, I was a little out of balance. And they said, here's a great idea. We're going to take 2 inches out of your good leg. She goes, today, any doctor you tell that to, they go, that's barbaric. She goes, that caused even more problems. She goes, I found a career I loved and I kind of masked the pain and no one could really tell, but I suffered all the time. She goes, but recently, she goes, I could see a wheelchair in my future. I couldn't go up and down steps. I could barely walk. I knew I wasn't going to ever be able to travel anymore, do any more fun things. Long story short, she goes, on this product, I'm in the least amount of pain in my entire life.
Wow.
Then in Sydney, I interviewed this holistic dentist. She's in her 30s somewhere, and one day she's riding her bike. Dog cuts in front of her. She tries to avoid hitting the dog. She wrecks her bike, jacks up her knee. 4 knee surgeries, multiple other procedures. You know, she's holistic, but she's taking so much pain medication, it's starting to impact her liver health. And her doctor's like, yeah, you're too young for a knee replacement. She goes, I was not able to be a mom. I can't hardly drive my car. I can't really walk. I'm like, all these problems. Long story short, she goes, I'm fine now. And he's fine.
Wow. Wow. It's crazy. I mean, my mum calls it a miracle every day because she's been in pain for 3 years with her knee. She's already had 1 knee replacement and she really thought she would need another one, but she's been completely pain-free since using the drop. And she just feels so much better. And I mean, this stories go on and on and on. My dad
on and on and on and on and on and on and
on. It just keeps going.
Everybody's on the drops, you know?
Yeah, totally. Exactly. So let's talk about how to get them, because I know there's a bunch of people. I mean, I've been sharing a little bit in this group about them since I've been on board since April. And
yeah,
it's very, I mean, it's pre-launch, right? In most places. It's been open in US for a while. Mexico, it started in Mexico, right?
It started in Mexico. We're open in Colombia, Costa Rica. We just opened in Europe. We are open in the US, and we are in pre-launch, phase in Australia and New Zealand at the moment. So there's a couple ways to get it. First of all, I would say, depending on your market, we've had explosive growth combined with really weird customs issues where they don't like we forgot to put a phone number on our label, or it is literally that ridiculous.
No way.
So those two combined have made a bit of a squeeze on inventory. Don't worry, we have like 9 months worth of product for our main product is going to hit our US warehouse this month. So we're going to fix it, but just I want to be very upfront. Right now, it's going to be a couple weeks. Obviously, if you order it sooner, it will get here sooner versus waiting, right? That's kind of obvious. So there's 2 basic ways to order. We love customers. Any good ethical business has customers. Any good network marketing company has a lot of customers because you actually have a product that people like as a customer. And as a customer, you're going to pay $50 to $60 retail for it. You're going to get a little bit of a discount if you order a couple together. If you keep your order for a couple months, there's little incentives there. We love having customers. Welcome you to be a customer. If someone is more like, I can see some opportunity, I already have like a list of 6 people who I need to talk to about this, you might consider opening up an entrepreneurial account and being able to get it at wholesale and being able to share it with other people and make an income. And there's 3 very basic options to do that. We call it kit 250, 500, kit 1000. You're paying approximately that amount to buy it. Okay. You're getting more than that in secured product. In other words, if you turned around and sold what comes in your kit, you would more than make up your investment. The reason we have those three options is for a couple of things. Number one, company culture wise, we don't ever put pressure on someone to buy a certain kit, like, oh, you need to do this one. And we don't financially incentivize it either by changing compensation. However, I will tell you two very important things. One, the more product you have on hand, you'll be surprised it will go quickly. Okay. And if you want to do business like this, it loves speed, like really loves speed. So the faster you get people on product, the more people are excited, the more your business grows. It's huge. So especially that kit 500 and 1000 is very beneficial to do that because you'll have more product. Number two, people will typically join and then ask you, hey, Abbey, what option did you do? And they'll typically copy you. So at the risk of doing math in public, people joining at the 500 or $1,000 level, your business grows 2 to 4 times as fast as if people join at the 250, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other benefit for that is we like people to have success and put money in their pocket very quickly. And we have something called a rapid pro bonus. It just means like, hey, let's help you get started in your business. Let's help you tell a few people and get about $2,000 in volume in total in your first 30 days. And we're going to give you a couple of really nice extra incentives. And by coming in at least at the $500 level, you and 3 other people, you do that very fast. And so it's a very simple first step. So we go, don't worry about all the complicated stuff. Simple product, simple business, full simple steps. Do this step first. And when you know how to do that, we'll teach you how to go from there. So it's kind of the basics. We do not try and talk people into doing business who are not actually interested in business. That's not a very high consciousness thing to do.
Totally.
We train, one other thing I want to be very clear about. I love training people on how to do a business in a way that honors friendships and relationships. Like my job, if I'm going to train people on how to do this, is that they do it in a way that if they go and talk to their friend about it and their friend isn't interested, their friend will still thank them for having shared it with them because they do it in a, they're easy to say no to, and we honor people and we're telling people about the product for their benefit, right? Like we've shown how extraordinary the product is. If you don't tell that person, who will? I mean, there's a lot of people in the world. We're not a huge company. Like you might be their only chance to be pain-free. And if they don't want to take advantage of it, that's on that. But you
totally. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know some people don't like telling people about things because they don't feel like they want to sell something. And it's like, but sometimes you don't have a choice, because when you see so much pain and you have something that's helped you, why would you not share it? It would feel, for me, that feels more strange for me not to share something that's working for me. But it's more about your own feeling inside, I guess. It's just part of the way that we're conditioned now, that we're kind of put off by certain people who do sell like kind of in a very non-compassionate way, or in a way that is manipulative, and which I don't like either. Sure. So I feel like we're all kind of, some of us have built up a protection against it. And I feel like that's something that we can work on, bringing the walls down. And I love the way you suggest, like, to be able to teach people how to share with their friends in a really nice way, in a compassionate way, where it's really helping them. And if not, it's totally fine if they say no, and they've got a choice then, So yeah, really interesting. Thank you for sharing a little bit about the business side. I personally
I want to give you a super quick example.
Yeah.
Drive this home a little bit more. Imagine I come to you today and we've been friends for years. I'm like, Abbey, oh my God, I've been in pain for years. Someone got me started on Vifi, these golden drops, and like totally changed my life. Have you heard about it? And you're like, oh yeah, I've been using it for 2 years. And I'm like, what? like I thought we were friends. Why didn't you tell me? You're like, oh, I was embarrassed. I didn't want you to think I was trying to sell you anything. And so you're more concerned about you than me.
Makes a lot of sense. I love the example.
I don't know. That doesn't really meet my definition of friendship. You're like, oh, you could have helped me for years. And you're like, oh no, I'm just not going to do it. Like, okay, what? Like,
Oh my gosh, it's so true. It's so true. So if anyone here, I know there's some people in the Zoom here who are already, Vidify entrepreneurs, and I am planning on doing more like of these sessions for all of the people that would like to learn some new things about how to share. And we will be doing more of these. So, and I'll be sharing more, doing these kind of sessions. That would be really good. I know that some of you really like to feel supported in that way. And I love supporting people in that way too. It's kind of second nature to me to support people and educate and show how you can do it in a very easy, authentic way where you don't have to feel uncomfortable, and so yeah, thank you for sharing the compensation plan a little bit. I know it might seem complicated for people who are just listening to this for the first time. Don't worry about that at all. Like, it's more just like introducing you to something that's an opportunity right now. And if you're interested, one thing I'm coming up with actually is I have a lot of people in countries where it's not open yet, like India. I had someone from Malaysia contact me the other day who said, when can I get them? How can I get them? Can you give me any insight on that, Stephen, about like, if there's someone in a country where they can't get it, is there any way we can get some to them? Or is it really just...
So I'll tell you my personal approach to that. I'm always willing to send people product in a foreign country who are interested. Often I've even sent it, like I've had product at my house and I've sent it to them and I've only charged them wholesale, but there's a couple of stipulations. One is I won't send less than 6 bottles, right? So if you're willing to pay the charge for 6 bottles plus shipping, sure, I'll send it to you, because I'm not walking to the post office to send you a bottle of product. Well, I guess, like, don't waste my time, especially in a country that's not open. So I view that, I really want to make sure that I'm always under promising and over delivering, right? Because various countries can take always longer and more complicated than we want. The government, like regulatory bodies are not known for beautiful efficiency and helpfulness. And so, like, I'm always just kind of putting product out all over the world. Does that make sense? Sure, I'll send you some product, but you need to take a decent amount to make sure you take enough, right? And really what I look for is in a country where someone steps to the forefront and they're like a real leader. Does that make sense? Like Rebecca White, like, oh, you have experience and you have the mindset and everything, and you know how to take care of people, right? So in Rebecca White's situation, I did this in Europe as well. I had a lot of people already in Australia who were interested. I knew the market was ripe. And I said, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll have the company send it to my house, and I will reship everyone's products. They'll have to pay me shipping, but I'll reship it to Australia. Okay. And we're only doing I would only focus on one market at a time, right? Or we're just doing this market, because what I need to do is I need to get enough volume going in the country that the Vifi corporate will go, oh, that makes it worth our while to hire a consultant, to create a corporation, to do all these things necessary, a warehouse. Like, we can see that there's potential down there and a leader, and we're willing to actually open the country. Right. So, like, for example, you take a country like India, obviously people like turmeric and curcumin, but with India, you're dealing with a lot of, like, there's a lot of regulatory challenges in India, and they're not super efficient. And the mailing stuff there is also not very helpful either. So that's, just to be honest, that's an issue, right? Malaysia might be a little better. Every country and market's a little different. You take South Korea, for example. God forbid you even think about sending anybody a bottle of product over there before they officially open and they find out. Like, so you have to treat that market totally different. I did what I did with Rebecca. I did it over in Europe with a leader I found, and we're open in Europe now. I have a great business over there. So it really varies. For me, I don't mind sending out 6 bottles at a time, because I can order a lot of product through my business, and I keep moving a lot of product through my business, right? And getting it in people's hands. It's kind of like sowing seeds. Some of it produces a huge harvest, some maybe not that much, but I'm always willing to put it out there.
Nice. Yeah, really good advice. So that's good. I'm going to maybe do that with one lady in India. She's a great leader. But yeah, wonderful. Thank you. I think this has been such a wonderful chance to meet you properly here in the Heal Avalon group. I know there's a lot of people here that will be interested in trying the golden drops. You can pop a message in, we can let you know how to get it. You'll either buy it from a distributor, or you can join as an entrepreneur if you're in one of the open countries, and we can help you get that. Even if it's in pre-launch, we can organize it for you. Yeah, just send us a message. Or if someone has invited you here about this, go back to that person who invited you to try these golden drops, and we'll happily help you. And yeah, just again, thank you for just sharing all this information on how we can move from struggle to strength on all levels, which is like in pain in the body, and also on a way to actually financially change our lives as well, which it's doing for me, as well as many other people around me. So thank you so much.
Love it. Well, great to meet you over Zoom. I look forward to doing this again if you'd like me to sometime.
That would be great.
I'm happy to talk about any other holistic health subjects too. We can have interesting chats.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd love that.
Chat about consciousness and flow states, and that's what I've been training a lot on lately, was how to be in flow in life. Helps with your health, your business, your relationships, everything. So
oh my God, perfect. I would love to have a conversation with you about that, because I literally live in the flow state. Maybe sometimes I worry about myself being too much in flow state, and I'm like, where's the structure? Help.
Yeah, well, there's a balance to it, but yeah, that's really, so one of the reasons I built a very large business is I worked very hard at quantifying and getting in and staying in flow. And then as I had leaders in my group, I spent time training them to make sure that they're in flow, right? So I invest my time and energy into key leaders to stay in flow so that they can do the business. So, and so what I found by being in flow, I found that as I allow my business to become my life and business to become easier, it becomes more abundant, and become even easier, and it becomes even more abundant. So it's like a nice trend. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it's like kind of a domino effect. It just keeps getting better.
Because if you're in flow, you should be 400 to 500% more effective than when you're not.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing. All right. Well, till the next time then, to be continued with Steven Keller. We're going to talk about the flow states. Thanks everyone for joining. We've had quite a lot of people joining in on the Facebook group, and I'm sure there's plenty of people who's going to watch the replay. I mean, this is not a good time for Australia, but I know there was a bunch of people who really wanted to watch this, and I think some even set their alarms. So I will put this on YouTube, and I will send that out to everybody. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one, Steven.
Perfect. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining.